ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ वर्स 50 परोक्षा च परोक्षेति विद्याद्वेधा विचारजा तत्र परोक्षविद्याप्तौ विचारोऽयं समाप्यते. So with the help of a Chitrapata Drishtanta example that of a painted canvas, now Vidyaranya introduce three factors in that, and that is in our thing it is Adhara Chaitanyam, Abhasa Chaitanyam and Samsara. In that case it was a Adhara Chitrapata, Adhara Vastram and Abhasa Vastram and the attributes, the paints, etc. And so it has been compared with that. So out of these three, Samsara or the attributes belongs to Abhasa Chaitanyam. So Abhasa Chaitanyam is a Samsari and Adhara Chaitanyam is a Samsari. That's the first stage. This is the first stage. Adhara Chaitanyam is Samsari, Abhasa Chaitanyam is Samsari. And once we understand this difference, then the next stage will be, the second stage will be Abhasa Chaitanyam is Mithya and Adhara Chaitanyam is Satyam. And so the first step, Samsari, Asamsari, right? Abhasa Chaitanyam and Adhara Chaitanyam. And then second step is Abhasa Chaitanyam Mithya, Adhara Chaitanyam Satyam. This is the second step. Third stage will be Abhasa Chaitanya, Adhara Chaitanyam is never affected by this Samsari Abhasa Chaitanyam. That's the third stage. Or else you can say in a language which we know is Sakshi is not affected by Ahankara. Which comes and goes cannot affect me. That's all. Which comes and goes. Living behind me as it is. So that is Ahankara. So Ahankara, that I notion, and with all the attributes, because I notion, Ahankara or Abhasa Chaitanya has all attributes, and therefore all that cannot affect me. And that is my own experience also, that in absence of even this Ahankara and the attributes, I exist without attributes. And just as I exist as just mere existence. I exist as just consciousness. And not even a conscious being. That conscious being is Ahankara. Well, I just exist as a consciousness. I don't have even an idea of that I am a conscious being. But definitely I have an experience of absence of Ahankara. So I am a witness of Ahankara, and therefore, that shows that Sakshi basically is not affected by Ahankara or the attributes of Ahankara. Sakshi, Adhara Chaitanyam is not affected by Abhasa Chaitanyam and the attributes. In absence of all that, I exist without them. So definitely I am not affected. If they cannot affect me, they must be of a lower order of a reality. What cannot affect me must be a lower order of reality. If it is the same order of a reality, they definitely affect each other. And therefore, so definitely that must be mithya. What is the lower order of a reality is mithya. But then how can you call yourself as a satyam? Because basically I exist in absence of everything. Means I am not negated. Everything is negated, but I am not negated. And therefore the sakshi must be satyam, which is not negatable, is satyam. And therefore I, the sakshi, is satyam, and this abhasa chaitanyam, ahankara, is basically mithya. And that is abhasa chaitanyam is samsari, because all attributes are there. Abhasa chaitanyam is absent, attributes are absent, and therefore attributes belongs to abhasa chaitanyam. So that abhasa chaitanyam is or ahankara is basically samsari. I am free from samsara. So this is a third stage. Adhara chaitanyam is never affected by samsari abhasa chaitanyam. So I am asanga basically. Then after third stage you can say I am asanga. I am not affected by anything. Then the fourth stage is of these two, Adhara chaitanyam and abhasa chaitanyam. Well, which one you would like to claim yourself? Which one is I? So generally we vote for abhasa chaitanyam, right? Because if I ask you, you will give your introduction with all attributes, and therefore you are basically considering yourself as abhasa chaitanyam, because abhasa chaitanyam has all attributes, and you say, well, I have all attributes, I am so and so, etc., etc. And therefore, well, you want to vote that basically you are a samsari, and we say also, I am a samsari. I mean, I am subject to pleasure and pain, you say also, and therefore, well, so that is correct. So you want to claim like that. So then is student basically, if he tells like that, after several classes, years of teaching, if student says that I am a samsari, then teacher definitely feels that he is a samsari, that person is not a samsari. Definitely, at least for the sake of saying, at least for the sake of pleasing the teacher, please tell that I am a samsari, I am Adhara Chaitanya, just for the sake of saying, nothing to worry about. And so anyway, so I should claim what? What is mithya? You should not claim, because it lives behind you. That is you. That is real you, which is not negative. And therefore ahankara lives you. Ahankara with all attributes. Well, basically live. That's a experience, everyday experience. And therefore definitely that must be the you. You should claim that I am a samsari, Adhara chaitanyam, I am asangaha, etc., etc. Well, if you start claiming that, then your journey is over. Spiritual journey is over. I am mukta. Mukta from what? Free. Free from what? Free from samsara. Free from attributes, free from abhasa chaitanyam, free from ahankara, etc. And so this spiritual journey is over. Spiritual journey involves Vedanta Shastra Vichara basically, because that alone talks about this Adhara Chaitanyam. No other pramana deals with this Adhara Chaitanyam, and which is your real nature. And so that we call as a Paramarthik Vastu. Satyam means a Paramarthik Vastu. Why Vedanta? I have to know myself, why I have to go to Vedanta? We have discussed all these things, because Atma is never available for any pramana which you have, all the 6 pramanas. Na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vak gacchati, no manaha, etc., etc. All these senses and the mind, and well, they cannot objectify the Atma. In fact, they are able to objectify the world because of the Atma, right? They are non-separate from the Atma. And so, in fact, what reveals something, with this principle we should always remember. If something is existent on account of me, that is non-separate from me. If something is revealed on account of me, that is non-separate from me. Because if I don't reveal myself, then the things are not revealed. If I reveal them, then definitely they are non-separate from me. And if I lend an existence to the thing, that thing is non-separate from me. Simple. Without even understanding, you should put this sentence immediately. So, like pot exists on account of clay, then therefore pot is non-separate from clay. If pot is revealed by the clay, well, then definitely, if clay does not reveal itself, then how the pot is going to be revealed? This is just that example is little gross, but think that way. And therefore, I am a self-revealing, and I reveal everything else, and therefore, entire Jagat is non-separate from me. And what is non-separate from me is mithya. That's all. These are all golden statements. You only claim, Swami, that you talk always golden statements, but I am telling you, this is what we have to understand. These things should not, if we say like this, nobody can shake this kind of a statement. And so these things are very clear. What is non-separate is mithya. And because, why it is non-separate? Because it is revealed by the entire Jagat is revealed by me. Entire Jagat exists on account of me. They are basically have a borrowed existence. And therefore, well, that is mithya. And all that Jagat, which is basically having all attributes, including Abhasa Chaitanyam also has attributes. Abhasa Chaitanyam is a part of Jagat. Chidabhasa is a part of Jagat. Never say Chidabhasa is a consciousness. Never say. No, but it appears. What appears, let it appear. Anything which appears is an appearance. And therefore, well, we should not claim. So never say. Some people say that Ahankara is a consciousness. Don't say that. The very Sakshi is a consciousness. And therefore, there cannot be two consciousnesses. That accounts, in fact, Chidabhasa is revealed by the consciousness. Chidabhasa is conscious on account of the consciousness Sakshi. Chidabhasas exist on account of the consciousness, right, which is Sat Swarupaha, which is existent. And therefore, that is part of Jagat. Just as this is revealed by consciousness, this is revealed by, this is exist on account of consciousness, Chidabhasa also exists. Chidabhasa is Jadam. Please understand. If anybody says something else, don't accept. Chidabhasa is Jadam. We have two things. One is consciousness, one is Jadam. Chetanam and Jadam. Anything which appears conscious, don't put into a consciousness category. And therefore, Chidabhasa is also mithya. Like Jagat is mithya, Chidabhasa is Jadam. And Chidabhasa has a component of this Jagat. Chidabhasa has the component. How can I thought arise without a mind? Without mind, how can even I thought can arise? So Chidabhasa has a component of a Jagat called mind, etc. It is part of the Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira is a part of the Jagat. And therefore, definitely, you should blindly say that, well, Chidabhasa. So, but we are not going to appear for the exam. Why are you saying like that? But I am saying for your own sake, well, Chidabhasa is Jadam. And we are going to discuss this thing, I think, either in this chapter or perhaps in the next chapter. Chidabhasa is a Jadam. We have to say that. Never say it is a conscious entity. If you say it is a conscious entity, means Chidabhasa is conscious independently. If it is conscious independently, what about Sakshi? What exists independently? And you know, Chit and Chidabhasa. Chit is independent, not Chidabhasa. Because of Chit, Chidabhasa is. Because of Chit, Jagat is. Because of Chit, Jagat reveals. Jagat is revealed, right? And therefore, never say that anyway. This is by the way. Anyway, so, na tatra chakshur gaschati, etc. And therefore, no pramana can deal with this paramarthik vastu. And so, none of this, none of the pramana, pratyaksha, etc. handles this subject matter, that is Atma, that is Sakshi, that is Adhara Chaitanyam. So even Purva Mimamsa deals with this Ahankara, etc. or Vyavarik Samsari Abhasa Chaitanyam only. What is the proof? Veda Purva Bhaga talks about this Jivatma, traveling from Loka to Loka, etc. and requiring performance of Shraddha, by Keats and Keens and etc. So what happens to Jivatma after departing, is a big topic in Purva Mimamsa. What is the meaning of this Jiva? Abhasa Chaitanya. What is it? It's a Vachyartha. Of what? Vachyartha of Aham. That is called Ahankara, that is called Vachyartha of Aham, that is called Jiva, that is called Abhasa Chaitanya. All this is same thing. And so we have to, if it is Abhasa Chaitanya, there must be a Adhisthana, right? How otherwise Abhasa can be found? And therefore, so we have to arrive at Adhisthana Chaitanya. What I am saying is in Veda also, don't think entire Veda, reveals this. Even I am segregating way the Purvabhaga also reveals, talks about, I mean, Jiva only. What is the big topic is there in Brahma Sutra also. What happens to Jiva after, the death of the body, etc. Once he departs, what happens? Oh, so big discussion is there in the 4th chapter of Brahma Sutra. And so different Shukla Gati and Krishna Gati. That entire chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita talks about this Jiva. That's how we do even a Parayanam, etc. if somebody departs. So Shukla Gati and Krishna Gati and etc. etc. And Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Tyajatyante Kalevaram Tam Tamevaiti Kaunteya. Right? So, what is the last thought? Depending upon that, he gets a new birth and this. What? This is about Adhar Chaitanyam or Abhasa Chaitanyam? It's Abhasa Chaitanyam. And therefore, even entire Veda Purvabhaga also talks about Abhasa Chaitanya. Only a small portion in the entire world, that's called Vedanta, deals with this Adhar Chaitanya, Adhisthana Chaitanya, nothing else. Neither the pramanas available to the human being, cannot Paurushe Pramana, cannot reveal it, neither even in Apaurushe Pramana called Veda Purvabhaga, Karma Kanda, etc., deals with this Adhisthana Chaitanya. Only and only Vedanta deals with it. Therefore, if you want a mukti, if you want your spiritual journey should be over, then definitely you should know Adhara Chaitanyam, because which is Muktaha. Adhara Chaitanyam by nature it is free, and that is real you, that is non-negatable. That is the real, that's called Lakshartha of Aham. And therefore, this Adhisthana Chaitanyam, if you want to know that and you want to be free, well, you have to analyze Vedanta. So Vedanta Vichara alone, that's how Puja Swami used to give a lot of emphasis on this Pramana. Pramana Vichara is very, he all the time talks about it. And more you understand this, more your Shraddha will be there for Vedanta. More you understand that what is the role of the Shastra and the teacher, etc. Of course, then you will have a lot of Shraddha for this Pramana, for this Vedanta. If you feel that Atma can be known, or let's say forget about Atma, but moksha can be gained by some other means of knowledge. Till then your Shraddha is going to be diluted, because your Shraddha is divided into several things. And therefore, this is, that kind of a Shraddha will arise once you know what a Pramana can do, what a Vedanta can do. And here Vedanta Vichara is the thing for your spiritual journey. If you want it to reach to the destination, well, this is the only way. And so this Vichara reveals that the real nature of Jivatma, which we call Lakshartha. Jivatma, when I say, what is the meaning of Jivatma? Well, I will ask you, or I will say from two standpoints. Either it is Abhasa Chaitanyam, either it is a Adhara Chaitanyam. Adhara Chaitanyam you can arrive, that is called implied meaning of the Jivatma, and you can arrive at by Bhagatyada Lakshana, etc. Because what is Mithya, you are removing it. What is Mithya, you are removing it. So, Vidyaranya says knowledge born Vichara is of twofold now. Okay, so because Vedanta Vichara has to be done. Okay, so then Vedanta gives knowledge. Yeah, gives knowledge. What kind of a knowledge? So we now two parts. This topic is not there anywhere. You will never find Paroksha Jnanam anywhere. If you find, please let me know. Vicharaja Vidya Dvedha Bhavati Dvedha. So this Vichara means systematic and consistent study of a Vedanta Shastra under the guidance of a competent teacher, etc., etc. This is our big definition is there of Vichara. And that involves Shravanam plus Mananam, etc. Anyway, so that Vichara produces Vicharaja. Vichara Jayate iti Vicharaja. And I am putting it Vichara Ja Akaranta because Vidya is a Strilinga. And therefore, if you use an adjective, you have to put it in Strilinga. Vicharaja Vidya Dvedha Bhavati, twofold. And Paroksha, Aparoksha. So definition of these two vidyas, what is called paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam, he is going to define the next verse. But the crucial point is both are to be gained through vichara only. And he does not say paroksha jnanam means book knowledge, etc. and aparoksha jnanam is through experience. Yeah, that is the understanding in the spiritual world. So paroksha, this text study, etc. This attending classes will give you paroksha jnana. And after attending classes, go to the room and sit in the meditation, and then you experience that Atma. And therefore, then it becomes aparoksha. Nothing is going to happen that way. And so, Dveda Vidya Vicharaja Bhavati means till you gain, we are going to prove, till you gain aparoksha jnanam. That's what I said, spiritual journey is over with the clear understanding of yourself that you are Brahman. And then no this kind of meditation, etc. appears. So don't think paroksha and aparoksha. Paroksha jnanam is which is generated from this knowledge, from the listening to the shastra, etc. And then sitting in the meditation, I will get an aparoksha jnanam. Don't have that kind of idea. He is going to define it properly. Okay, out of these two, which one is first? Means, are they simultaneous when you study? Well, both knowledges occur simultaneously, or they are sequential. So, well, we answer they are sequential. And then which one is first? Yeah. So, well, we say paroksha jnanam is first, aparoksha jnanam is next. And since it is sequential, well, inquiry ends with aparoksha jnanam. First paroksha jnanam and then aparoksha jnanam. So, inquiry ends with aparoksha jnanam only. And well, why do you call aparoksha jnanam last? Because it's like this is, somebody asked, I was giving an example that when you are searching for something, and then the person finds it in the last place of the search. This is why he finds in the last place of the search. A very brilliant question. Why, if you are searching some object and you find in the last place of search, and therefore somebody is asking question, why he finds in the last place of search? Why not further? Because he stops searching. Therefore, that is the end point. Okay? And therefore, same way, jnanam is paroksha jnanam and aparoksha jnanam. And then why do you call aparoksha jnanam is a final jnana? Because after that, no inquiry to the shastra. And therefore, basically, aparoksha jnanam is a last thing, and first thing is a paroksha jnana. Anyway, so after aparoksha jnanam, inquiry is over, Vedanta inquiry is over, Shastra inquiry is over. He sits, now he doesn't attend class, he sits under a tree, okay, and therefore he does not do anything. And therefore, even if he wants to study, he may study here or there with a hobby, not so serious study now. He has to know something, nothing. And therefore, basically, and so inquiry is ending there, and therefore aparoksha jnanam is the final thing. Okay, so paroksha jnanam is first. So tatra means this is a nirdharana, shashti, nirdharana, saptami, either you take. Tatra has actually a sense of a seventh case, right? But here we take it as a nirdharana shashti also. You can take it tayoho madhye, among these two. So, or of these two, aparoksha vidya aptau satyam, that's a sati saptami. Aparoksha vidya aptau is there. So it is saptami. So aparoksha vidya aptau satyam, after acquiring. So apti means acquiring, and aparoksha vidya aptau. So after acquiring aparoksha vidya, ayam vidya samapyate. Vedanta vichara ends, ayam vichara samapyate. So Vedanta vichara ends, and therefore definitely aparoksha jnanam is the final thing. Then out of two, if that is final, well then paroksha jnanam is the first thing. So this is what he explains, because sequential means what will be the first, aparoksha jnanam first or paroksha jnanam first, and then it says inquiry ends with the aparoksha jnanam, and therefore definitely paroksha jnanam is first. Okay, now he is going to define what is paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam. Let's read number 16. Asti brahmeti ched veda paroksha jnanamev tat aham brahmeti ched veda sakshatkarassa uchyate. What is paroksha jnanam? It says here, whenever you refer that paroksha jnanam in a third person, like there is Brahman, there is Atma, etc., etc. And so, and like if you see in a Upanishad, the statements all like Adresham, Agraham, Achakshushotram, Tadapani Padam, etc., Ravarnam, etc., or Nanta Pragnyam, Na Bahish Pragnyam, Na Ubhayata Pragnyam, right, etc. So all definitions about Brahman or Atma you give perfectly, but don't equate with the Atma. Then definitely it is paroksha jnana. Don't equate with yourself, then it is paroksha jnana. And asti, Brahma asti, Brahman is paroksha jnana. Brahma asmi, paroksha jnana. Brahma asti, paroksha. So simple, right? And so crucial thing is this, what verb you use with that Brahman. So there is such a Brahman called Nanta Pragnyam, Nabahish Pragnyam, Naubhayata Pragnyam, or Adresham, Agraham, Mundakopanishad, Nanta Pragnyam, etc. in Mandukya, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Nityam, Agandavat, Kathopanishad, right? So you are defining Brahman, all right. But you, after all the words of definition of Brahman, you write ultimately Asti. Then what? Then it is Paroksha Jnanam only. It is not a Paroksha Jnana. So this is simple. Asti Brahma iti ched Veda. Asti Brahma iti. That's a quotation. Ched Veda. If you know that Brahman is, and that is how it is actually. That is how it is. Once you start listening to the Shastra with the help of teacher, then definitely you will say that yes, there is, Atma is like this, Brahman is like this. So this is Paroksha Jnana. So even though your knowledge is thorough, because you have understood all the definitions given in all varieties of the Upanishads, various Upanishads, the definition is very clear to you. Every word meaning you know very well. Adreshyam, Agraham, etc., etc. What is the Antah Pragnyam and what is Bahish Pragnyam and Na Ubhayata Pragnyam and Na Pragnyam and Na Pragnyam and all very clear to you. But you say Brahman is like this or Atma is like this. Well, it is Paroksha Jnanam. And in chapter 7 also we are going to discuss again in the next chapter. He is going to tell very clearly that this Paroksha Jnanam is incapable of liberating, incapable of making you free from samsara. So then, the person who is ignorant is a samsari. The person with the Paroksha Jnanam of Brahman or Atma also is a samsari, but it is a literate samsari. That is that person, other person, because he is ignorant, so we say illiterate samsari. But samsara continues. The label of samsara continues. Anyway, and so what is most important is, even though Paroksha Jnanam, even though it does not liberate you from samsara, it does not make you free from samsara, but Paroksha Jnanam is must for Aparoksha Jnana. Like we call Dvaita Bhakti. Like person starts worshipping the Ishvara in form of pujas and doing japa and everything, and he takes himself to be different from Ishvara. So he says, I am a worshipper and he is worshipped. I am a meditator and he is meditated. And with such a bhakti he has. But ultimately, even so, it is Dvaita Bhakti, but it can lead to Advaita Bhakti, right? Ultimately, he will know himself as non-separate from the Ishvara. So same way, Paroksha Jnanam also, ultimately leads to Aparoksha Jnana. And so, so this kind of what has been told in verse number 16, you will find in Kathopanishad, almost similar statement. Astityeva bhavena, etc., etc. You will, I'm just giving you the initial words, you will find it in Kathopanishad. Same kind of a statement like we have right now in verse number 16. Anyway, Tattva Bhava Prasidati, etc., that statement is there. So without Paroksha Jnanam, one will not come to Aparoksha Jnanam. And so I present like this now. What? Without Aparoksha Jnanam, Paroksha Jnanam is incomplete. And without Paroksha Jnanam, without paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam is impossible. I will repeat once again. Without aparoksha jnanam, paroksha jnanam is incomplete, because ultimately you have to gain aparoksha jnanam. So it is incomplete. You have a paroksha jnanam, but it is incomplete. And because the journey is not over, samsara is not gone. And this is the first statement. Second statement is, without paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam is impossible. And therefore, both the knowledges are required. So Brahma asti iti veda chet. In our words, if person knows, in this manner that Brahma asti is then it is paroksha jnanam. And aham Brahma iti chet veda, aham Brahma asmi, or aham Brahma asmi you can supply. So then that is aparoksha jnanam. Now he has not used word aparoksha jnanam. How you have brought aparoksha jnanam? We don't find. See, what happens is, he has used, he has introduced two words, paroksham and aparoksham, in verse number 15. And then he has started defining both in verse number 16. But he clearly says this is paroksha jnana. You see the first line. Asti brahmeti ched veda paroksha jnana eva tat paroksha jnanam bhavati. That is paroksha jnana. Okay. Then aham brahmeti ched veda aparoksha jnana. No, but he doesn't use word aparoksha jnana. He is using some other word. And therefore we have to understand they are synonyms. And so, what is that word? He has used word sakshatkara, because that is popular. Sakshatkara, realization, is very popular in this circle, in the spiritual circle. And therefore you should be familiar with this word. I will give you another word, and that puts the seeker into the spin. And that is anubhava. Sometimes our acharya has used word brahmanubhava. Brahma sakshatkara, instead they say brahma anubhava. And so from anubhava means they take it as an experience. And therefore they feel that right now I am studying regarding Atma, etc. But that is giving me a paroksha jnana, and then I will experience Brahman later in meditation. It's not correct. So anubhava is equal to sakshatkara is equal to aparoksha jnana. That's all. So that's the thing. Every moment is you are experiencing Atma or Brahman. You are a conscious being. If you become jada, and then suddenly you become a conscious being, etc., then we find that this jadam is experiencing consciousness. That is never going to happen. Jada cannot experience anything, and therefore basically so you are experiencing consciousness all the time, and therefore anubhava is all the time there, but you don't know that you are Brahman. That's what aparoksha jnanam is. And so when you say aham Brahma asmi, it is aparoksha jnana. That's over, journey is over. And so all these three words, anubhava, sakshatkara, aparoksha jnanam, we have to remember this, they are synonymous, and either sakshatkara, either anubhava, and either aparoksha jnanam is generated by Vedanta vichara. No other way. One more point we have to remember is, how do you say which vichara produces two types of knowledge? That's another question. How this one vichara can produce two types of knowledge? Then our answer is, Vedanta has two types of statements, and then two types of statements in Vedanta can produce two types of knowledge. Okay, and one is called avantarvakyam. Avantarvakyam. Other is a mahavakyam. Avantarvakyam produces paroksha jnana. Mahavakyam produces aparoksha. And so Vedanta has both kind of statements, and therefore it can produce two types of knowledges. And therefore this is how it is. So mahavakyam is what? Jeev Brahma Aikya Bodhaka Vakyam Mahavakyam, which says very clearly, distinctly says, or a clear statement in the Vedanta which talks about the identity between Jivatma and Paramatma is Mahavakyam. Other than that, all statements are there. They are Avantarvakyas. Okay, Avantarvakya give you paroksha jnana. Mahavakya can give you a Paroksha Jnana. Because Mahavakya clearly tells you whether you want to listen or not. It wants to tell you clearly that you are Brahman, you are Brahman, you are Brahman. For sake of teacher, at least tell to the teacher that, yes, I am Brahman. Otherwise, teacher will start considering himself as a samsari. Okay? And so this is so Brahma Lakshana Vakyam is called Avantara Vakyam. But Brahma Lakshana Vakyam, which is Brahma Lakshana, what is this Brahma Lakshana Vakyam? Brahma Lakshana means a definition which clearly tells, like Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Brahma. Even I can take it as a Mahavakya. But let's talk about Brahman as a Jagat Karanam, etc. Such a Brahman is there, which is the cause of the universe, etc. It doesn't equate anything with the myself. Then, well, it is Avantara Vakyam. That gives me Paroksha Jnana. Oh, there is a creator and there is a sustainer and there is a resolver, etc. Everything has come from Ishvara and everything. Oh, you are not saying that Ishvara is you. You are Jagat Karanam, you are not saying. Well, then it is a Paroksha Jnana. You have got that knowledge from the Vedanta Vakyam. Because Vedanta has a Srushti Vakyam. All Srushti Vakyas are there, very clearly, establishing that Brahman is Jagat Karanam. And therefore, well, so, but not a single statement in that portion tells clearly that you are that. Well, then I will consider it as a Avantar Vakyam, which is giving me a Paroksha Jnanam of that Brahman. And I will say, yes, such a Brahman is there, which is cause of the universe, etc. Well, so this is how it is. But then that Brahman slowly is equated with me, right? So, tasmad atmana akasha sambhutah akashad vayuhu vayoho agnihi apaha adbya prithvi prithivya oshadaya oshadibhya annam annat purusha. Abba came to Annamaya. So, from these all elements came, elementals came and all. That's fine. Okay. But then it came to here. Very Annamaya Kosha is Brahman. Oh. Then, okay. I'm fine. I will definitely, nourish my body because that is Atma. I love myself. Yeah. So I will love my body. And therefore I will I will nourish my body. Don't say that. Anyantara Atma Pranamaya. Okay. Gaya. So this has become an Atma already. It has become an Atma. Anyantara Atma. Anyaha Antaraha Atma Bhavati. So there is another Atma which is inside the body. Then there cannot be two Atma. Therefore this has become an Atma. So it starts with like that and it takes you up to Anandamaya and then says, well, Adhishthanam is of Anandamaya is Brahman Pucham Brahma Pratishtha. So Brahma Pucham Pratishtha, well, Brahman is the Pratishtha of the entire all five koshas. And therefore the Brahman which is the cause of the universe has been equated with this, which is the Sakshi of this Panchakoshas, witness of the five sheaths. And therefore, so that Brahman which is Jagat Karanam is me. That is Mahavakya. So this is how it is to be understood. So Avantar Vakya, Mahavakya, both types of statements are there. And one gives Paroksha Jnanam, other gives Aparoksha Jnanam. Anyway, and so, and then Vidyaranya himself, nicely is going to describe about this Aparoksha Jnanam, etc. in the later part of the chapter. We'll see that. Now let's go to verse number 17. Tat sakshatkara siddhyartham atma tattvam vivichyate yenayam sarva samsarat sadya eva vimuchyate. So Vidyaranya says, well, now in the following portion I am going to assist you in conducting such an inquiry by which you will ultimately know yourself as a Brahman. You will gain a Paroksha Jnana. A guided inquiry is to be conducted, and so he is a guide. So he says, Tat Sakshatkara Siddhyartham. Tat means that Brahman, well, or Adhara Chaitanyam. For sake of gaining the Paroksha Jnanam, Atma Tattvam Vivichyate. Atma Tattvam, nature of Atma is going to be inquired into, which is what is Abhasa Chaitanyam, what is Adhara Chaitanyam, what are attributes. All, well, you will inquire into So you will inquire into with my help, etc. So what attribute belongs to what actually? What is Satyam, what is Mithya, what is Asamsari, what is Samsari? So this is going to be elaborately done now. So until now he presented in brief. If you remember, while introducing this chapter, I told you there are main two topics. First is first 17 verses. Now we are going to complete it. First 17 verses is Vedanta Sankshepa, synopsis of the teaching of Vedanta. And from verse 18 to the almost end of the chapter is Vistara, well, expansion, or let's say the thesis of that Vedantic teaching. And so now we are going to enter. So in the verse 17 he is now concluding this first topic, Vedanta Sankshepa. So this is a completion of a Sangraha or a Sankshepa, and he is introducing now Vistara, means an expansion. And he uses word Atma Tattvam here. Atma Tattvam Vivichyate. Vivichyate, distinguish. Atma is distinguish. So here this word Atma Tattvam, that word is used in a general sense. In general sense means what? Because he is going to talk about Adhara Chaitanyam and Abhasa Chaitanyam at individual level, and that's called Tvampada Vichara. And he is also going to introduce this Adhara Chaitanyam, Abhasa Chaitanyam at Samashti level also. So that is Tatpada Vichara. And therefore, four things are going to be discussed. Jivatma, in that Jivatma there are Adhara Chaitanyam and Abhasa Chaitanyam. Paramatma, Adhara Chaitanyam, Abhasa Chaitanyam. And for everything he has used here single word, Atma Tattva. So Atma Tattvam you have to divide into Jivatma, Paramatma. Jivatma also again Lakshartha, right? I have told you. Lakshartha of a Jivatma is Adhara Chaitanya. Vachyartha is Abhasa Chaitanya. And Paramatma also Adhara Chaitanya. And there also Abhasa Chaitanya. So all the four things are there. But he is using a one word, Atma Tattva, Vivichyate. So he is, so that's how I say it is in a general sense he has used. So Atma Tattvam Vivichyate, this nature of Atma is going to be inquired, distinguished also later. For what purpose? Yena, by this inquiry, or inquiry born Sakshatkara, inquiry born Aparoksha Jnanam, direct knowledge. Well, Yena means you have to take it as a Sakshatkarena. And that Sakshatkara is again born of Vichara, Vedanta Vichara. So, by this Sakshatkara, what is the benefit? Sadhya eva vimuchyate. Sadhya, instantaneously you are liberated. This is called Jivan Mukti. So, instantaneously you are liberated. Because instantaneously you are liberated means basically you are liberated already. You don't know. That is instant liberation. Instant. In spiritual field also there is a instant mukti. People are offering with certain dollars and everything. Instant mukti. We will make you, they say, we will give you moksha in 15 days, 1 week program, 15 days program and 1 month program. And so attend that program, and after that, whatever the duration they have told, you will be free. Yeah, we are saying you are right now free. As you are going to the Shastra as a Pramata. Well, as a knower, you think you are a knower, you are Abhasa Chaitanya, you are Ahankar, then basically you are Sakshi. So that is how it is. And therefore, instant mukti means you are free. Only the Mahavakya works to remove that knock off the notion that, I am Baddha, I am very this. So that notion, dropping the notion, that's enough. Nothing is to be done. Nothing is to be done because you are self-revealing. Nothing can reveal you. In fact, Shastra is revealed by you. In fact, whole Shastra is revealed by you. Everything is revealed by you. You are existent, self-illuminating, and therefore nothing is to be done. Only removing the notion with the help of Mahavakya, which is called Aparoksha Jnana. And therefore, Sadhya eva vimuchyate, while living itself is free, he becomes free from what? Sarva samsarat. This is another thing. This is Vidyaranya. So, Sarva samsarat. The samsarat you should say. We have never heard such a kind of a thing. Sarva samsarat. There are several types of samsaras. Yeah, there are several types of samsara. The first samsara is at a physical level. And physical level, you feel certain limitation. Right? That's a samsara. So, you feel physical limitation. and you feel a limitation in terms of possession. That's also a samsara. Limitation in terms of possession. You don't possess. You feel that you possess entire family. At least you possess your wife, etc. That also, she also tells, no, well, I am not yours. She says, I am not yours. So, well, nothing is in your possession. So you feel everything is in possession. The person, one big industrialist, billionaire in India, he's staying in Bombay now in some small apartment. His son has, pushed him out from the, I think in Raymond's or somewhere, the big company, very big, huge turnover. That person was a billionaire. His own son, literally, he has some court proceedings are also there, and he's staying in a small apartment, very small apartment in Bombay. This is how it is. So I feel limited in terms of possession. I was possessing the whole empire, and within no time you are out. So I feel, right? So limitation, samsara is limitation. Limitation in terms of physical limitation you have. So when you sit, you can't get up, and when you are standing, you can't sit. All these problems, several problems. So this is the first level of samsara. Second level of samsara. So, well, emotional samsara. All, see, he is not taking care of me. He's this, that, etc. Well, all this also, and this is, other people are not treating me as they should treat me, I have certain visualization that they should treat me like this, and they don't treat. They have their own agenda, and so, well, they don't treat me properly. That's an emotional samsara. You feel limitation, and limitation born sorrow, etc. And then third is intellectual samsara. That's a very big thing. Intellectual samsara. Because Swamiji, I don't know whether this person loves me or not. I don't know, Swamiji. It looks, sometimes I feel, yeah, he really loves me, or she really loves me. And then other time I feel she really does not love me. So that is intellectual samsara. Doubting, etc. What's a fact? What is fiction? When we don't know, well, then that is intellectual. So one of the toughest thing, what we face is, well, this intellectual limitations, that's called samsara. So what is truth, what is untruth, what is gossip, what is rumor, and well, you have no way of knowing, so you feel limited. So this is intellectual samsara, because sarva samsara has been told. So we divide into physical and emotional and intellectual, etc. So, well, our capacity to be comfortable with, the confusion, etc. is intellectual samsara. And our capacity to be comfortable with confusion is called moksha, right? The confusion is there, so you are comfortable. Rumor is there, but you are comfortable. And what is fact, fiction, etc. you don't know. So you have so many doubts. Even still you are comfortable. That's moksha, okay? So, because that's an intellectual samsara, all this, and you are free from that. So basically, moksha is a freedom from all levels of samsara. Because ultimately it is mithya. So, well, it is going to be limited. Either you, after solving one puzzle, the next puzzle will be there, and therefore that you will solve. The third puzzle will be there. So all the time goes on. The person who is engaged all the time in removing different levels of limitation is called samsari. Yeah. And the person who makes them mithya, whatever they are, let them be there. Whatever physical limitation, while getting up also he or she laughs, even though he or she can't get up. And therefore, and so then you should understand, he is free. He is free. Yeah. And emotional samsara. Somebody takes care of him, somebody treats properly, improperly, this, that. Oh, Swami, what are you talking? Okay, be comfortable with that. If somebody says like that, well, that's freedom. Don't think freedom means freedom from you will remove certain limitation. That's a wrong orientation. Vedanta's orientation should be one thing. Whatever is there is there. It is limited. I am not that. That's all. Because I am limitless. Limitless cannot be generated. So by removing all the limitations, well, I will become free from all limitations and become free from all kinds of, uneasiness centered on this body, mind, sense complex. That's not going to happen. And so, if you be comfortable with all these confusions and doubts and physical limitations and emotional limitations, if you are comfortable with that, think that you are free. Anyway, so this is regarding Vedanta Sankshepa. And now Vedanta Vistaraha, he is going to elaborately, Vedantic teaching pertaining to this Aparoksha Jnanam, Paroksha Jnanam, Adhara Chaitanyam, Abhasa Chaitanyam, Samsara, Asamsara, all this. What are the attributes of a basically Adhara Chaitanya? Attribute. We'll say that. You said it is free from attribute. Yeah, but still. Okay, so Adhara Chaitanya means etc. is a Sakshi, etc. That kind of a thing. Is a Kutastha. He will say all these things. So he is going to now introduce that topic, second topic. Expansion of that Vedantic teaching or synopsis. Here we call it as a Vedanta Vistaraha. And what he is doing here is in the first three verses, 18, 19 and 20. He is giving an introduction to that second topic called elaborate study or teaching of Vedanta. Let's read the verse number 18. Kutastho Brahma Jiveshau Ittevam Chitchaturvidha Gatakasha Mahakashau Jalakasha Brakhe Yatha. So, for the sake of elaborate study of the Vedanta, Vidyaranya introduces four types of Chaitanya. Chaturvida Chaitanya. This topic is very popular in Vedantic circle, and this is a ingenious thing of Vidyaranya. Chit Chaturvidya Prakriya it is called. So, well, and in here in Pancadasi, of course, it is famous, and in general also this is very famous. Chit Chaturvidya Prakriya or Chit Chaturvidam Prakriya, method of fourfold consciousnesses. And ultimately he does this fourfold consciousnesses, and then he, in order to understand the oneness of the consciousness, he does this job. And to understand this fourfold consciousnesses, he gives an example of a Akasha. If you remember that also I told you in the introduction, that Chitrapata Drishtanta will be for the first topic, for the synopsis of the Vedantic teaching, and for the expansion of the teaching, we have another example called of Akasha. That also I told at that time. So he is introducing fourfold Akasha in order to make us understand fourfold consciousnesses. There he has used a canvas Drishtanta, Adhara Vastram, Abhasa Vastram and paint, etc., attributes, etc., in order to make us understand Adhara Chaitanyam, Abhasa Chaitanyam and attributes. Now here he is introducing fourfold consciousnesses. So he takes an example of a Akasha with fourfold Akasha. So we will understand that. And so, so first he gives a names here of fourfold consciousness. Consciousnesses, it is not correct. Fourfold consciousness. Okay. And so, what are the? He just names. Then he will explain. Kutastha first. Then Brahma, that's there in the first line of the verse. Kutastha, Brahma, Jivaha, Ishvara. Kutastha refers to Adhara Chaitanya at Vyashti level. That I am just telling you to make you understand. He is going to define everything. Kutastha refers to Adhara Chaitanyam at a Vyashti level, at an individual level, and Brahma refers to Adhara Chaitanyam at a macro level. This is a micro level. At Brahman is Adhara Chaitanyam at macro level. I have told you already while talking about that in the previous verse. I told you the Atma Tattvam Vivichyate, distinguishing Atma. But that's and I told you it's in general sense. Now Atma Tattvam means Jivatma and Paramatma. Again there are Adhara Chaitanyam, Abhasa Chaitanyam in Jivatma, Adhara Chaitanyam, Abhasa Chaitanyam in Paramatma. All fourfold things are there. So that is so now that he is introducing. So Brahma refers to Adhara Chaitanyam at a macro level, and Jiva refers to Abhasa Chaitanyam at a Vyashti level, micro level. Ishvara refers to Abhasa Chaitanyam at a macro level. So Vyashti, micro, Abhasa is reflection in a micro medium, and then definitely Samashti, etc., macro medium will give a reflection of a macro Abhasa, and that is, that's called Ishvara, etc. We'll see that. So, like a small reflection in a small mirror and big reflection in a big mirror, etc. So, this is how I mean pair of Vyashti and pair of Samashti. Adhar Chaitanyam, Abhasa Chaitanyam at micro level, Adhar Chaitanyam, Abhasa Chaitanyam at a macro level. So, two Adhar Chaitanyam, two Abhasa Chaitanyam. Okay, these are fourfold consciousness. Now, after introducing this fourfold consciousness, well, how he arrived at one? Because ultimately, fourfold consciousness, where is Advaita then? So then, well, he very beautifully. So actually, he will talk about this fourfold consciousness up to verse number 200, and after 200, he will say no. This fourfold consciousness is ultimately one. But he will tell after 200 verses, which will take several classes. So let me tell you right away. And therefore, so basically, why should I make you so anxious? Because this you will not accept. Fourfold consciousness. How it is? You are saying Ekameva Advitiyam, one without second and all. And now fourfold? Yeah, fourfold to arrive at one. And out of this two Adhar Chaitanyam, two Abhasa Chaitanyam, two Abhasa Chaitanyam are Mithya, right? Which two Abhasa Chaitanyam? The Abhasa Chaitanyam at a micro level called Jiva, Abhasa Chaitanyam at a macro level called Ishvara are Mithya. And Adhar Chaitanyam now, two Adhar Chaitanyam. Adhar Chaitanyam at a micro level, Vyashti level, Adhar Chaitanyam at a macro level, Samashti level. And well, he says, they are not two. They are two names of one thing. Okay? That's how it is. So Adhar Chaitanyam, even though they are so Kutastha, etc., at a Vyashti level and Brahman at a macro level, both Adhar Chaitanyam, Kutastha and Brahman are one thing alone. He is going to explain. So, well, our doubt will be resolved. What is this? Sometimes this Swami using word Kutastha, sometimes he says Brahman, and for him there is no difference at all. He is using different words, and he as if he feels that there is no difference. Yeah, but it will be resolved here. So both out of four consciousness, two Abhasa Chaitanyam will be Mithya and therefore will be put into the basket. Okay? And then two Adhar Chaitanyam, he says both are one alone, only names are different. So Nama Vedaha Natu Vastu Vedaha. He is going to tell. So four are resolved into one. Okay? So to start with, we have four. Okay. Now having he gave the name of fourfold consciousness. Now he is going to equate with the Drishtanta of Akasha. So now he is giving a four names of Akasha also. So Ghatakasha first. Second is a Mahakasha. Third is a Jalakasha. And fourth is a Meghakasha. Where it has been told? In the second line of that verse number 18 only, where we are seeing now. So, and of these four also, ultimately it is one Akasha. How we will resolve into one? So he says Ghatakasha is a Adhar Akasha, Jalakasha is a Abhas Akasha at a Vyashti level, at a micro level. And Meghakasha is basically Abhas Akasha at a macro level, and then definitely Jalakasha, and Abrakasha. So Meghakasha is basically Abhas Akasha at a macro level. And so this is how. So Ghatakasha and Mahakasha is a Adhar Akasha at a macro level. So Meghakasha and Mahakasha are basically Adhar Akasha at a macro level. And Abhas Akasha and Adhar Akasha at a macro level. And Ghatakasha and Jalakasha are basically Adhar Akasha and Abhas Akasha at a micro level. So this is how fourfold Akasha has been introduced. And so, well, and here also, how will you arrive at one Akasha? You are divided into four. Yeah, no problem. Jalakasha at a micro level and Meghakasha. What are those things? It is coming. I am just narrating. So Jalakasha and Meghakasha, Jalakasha at a micro level, Meghakasha at a macro level, both are Abhasa Akasha and therefore they are Mithya. And then definitely this Mahakasha and Ghatakasha. Ghatakasha at a micro level and Mahakasha at a macro level. They are Adhar Akasha and they are Satyam, but they are not two different Akasha, and therefore they are just two names of a one Akasha only called Mahakasha, and therefore Nama Veda hai there, Natu Vastu Veda hai, etc. Anyway, he is going to define in 200 verses. You imagine, 200 verses are there for this. For the first, he is introducing this Drishtanta. He will clearly define what is called Ghatakasha and this Akasha and that Akasha. And after he will define elaborately with this fourfold consciousness also. And after 200 verses, he will tell this is all one. So nothing to worry. I am just introducing this all these names here. Anyway, so ultimately it will turn to Advaita Jnanam only, and that will pave a way for moksha. So let's, so here it says in this verse, Kutastha Brahma Jiveshau. Jiveshau means Jiva and Isha. That's a sandhi only. Iti evam, with this fourfold consciousness, Chit Chaturvidha, it is fourfold. Chit Chaturvidha Bhavati. So, this consciousness, Chit means consciousness, Chaturvidha Bhavati. Chatasraha Vidaha Yasyaha Taha Chaturvidaha. Fourfold consciousness. So it is fourfold consciousness of time being, right, to begin with. Then ultimately it turns to one. Same way, he says in second line, Ghatakasha, Mahakasha, Jalakasha and Abrakha. Abram means basically Megha, cloud. And Kha means Akasha. And so Abrakha is equal to Meghakasha. So why he is using this Abrakha? He should tell Meghakasha. Why he is creating a confusion in us? Because for meter's sake, he cannot come, meter does not permit him. He is making in a verse form. And so basically instead of using a fat word, he is using a thin word, because it cannot be accommodated in that chair. And therefore this is, Abrakha is been used instead of a Meghakasha. Requires more letters and meter will not fit into meter. So Jalakasham Abrakhe, so Jalakasham cha Abrakham cha, Jalakasha Abrakhe, Prathama Vibhakti Dvivachan. This is Dvanda Samasa. And now he has to explain all the words. First he will explain the example. And that starts in verse number 19. Gatavachinna khe neeram yattatra pratibimbitah sabhranakshatra akashah jalakasha udiryate. Now of these four akasha, actually, as I told you, first he will explain the Drishtanta, all the four akasha he will explain, and then he will explain fourfold consciousness. So, okay, of this four akasha, he does not explain Ghatakasha. It's simple, right? Because he thinks it is very simple, and let's define what is Ghatakasha. Gata avachinna akasha, Ghatakasha. This is called Madhyam Padalopa Samasa. Gata avachinna akasha, Ghatakasha. So that akasha, the original space, which obtains as enclosed within the pot, within the pot, is called Ghatakasha. Avachinna means enclosed. Gata avachinna akasha. Akasha, this mega Mahakasha, this big space which is obtained within the pot, is called Ghatakasha. Is okay? Is clear? And now second one is a Jalakasha. Jalakasha is defined in this verse actually. Ghatakasha, he thought it is simple not to be explained, but I have already told you. Now this Jalakasha is explained in verse number 19. So Jalakasha is what is Jalakasha? Well, you have to imagine within the pot, you have poured some water, and imagine that it is kept outside. The pot is kept outside, and with that water. Then when you look into that pot, what will you find? Because of that water has a very clean reflecting surface, you will see the space above is reflected in that water. Not only space. Suppose there are some clouds. So clouds along with the space is reflected in that pot, in the water of the pot actually, and that is called Jalakasha. the jalam. Jalavachinna akasha, jalakasha. So the reflected space obtaining within the pot water is called jalakasha. Same, this is called abhasa akasha, naturally. And ghatakasha is adhara akasha, because which sustains even the pot, which sustains even the water, and sustains that akasha also. So within pot there are two spaces now. Please understand, this is this is simple actually, but you have to understand it and retain it also. So within pot there are two spaces now. One is that ghatakasha, original akasha, which is enclosed actually, and second is a jalakasha, which is a abhasa akasha. So within pot two akasha, adhara akasha and abhasa akasha. Adhara akasha is called ghatakasha. Abhasa akasha is called jalakasha. And so if you remove that water, well, jalakasha will go. Naturally, abhasa akasha will go. Abhasa is due to that water. Abhasa of akasha, which is there in that, is due to the water. And so jalakasha will go. Abhasa akasha will go. Ghatakasha will continue, right? Ghatakasha will continue, even if you remove the water. And so this is like our sthula sharira and sukshma sharira. Anyway, we'll see that further later. Okay, this is it. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.